And hello, everybody. I would like to welcome you to another episode of Megan's World Podcast. I am your host, Special K Thoughts, aka Special K, better known in the world of Twitter. Disclaimer alert, disclaimer alert. Megan's World Podcast is a pro Meghan Markle news channel. We are supporters, fans, and stands of Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, too. All right. During today's episode, we are going to be discussing buffoonery, minstrel shows, and those good old royal family values. Stay tuned. John Barnes, a former professional football player and manager, made some very interesting comments about Harry and Meghan, mainly Meghan, during an interview he had with the Sunday Times. Honestly, I had no idea who this quote unquote brother is. However, he is very well known in the United Kingdom. Apparently, John Barnes has a book coming out on racism and society. After doing a lot of research on him, it seems to me many black folks in the United Kingdom do not view him as an ally, despite the fact that he has appointed himself as a spokesperson for black Brits. Regarding Harry and Meghan, during his interview about his book, of course, the interview asked him some questions about Harry and Meghan. John Barnes stated that he and his wife watched the Oprah interview. He said, and I quote, "You speak to most black people and they will say, yeah, so what? I would expect that conversation to be had by the family." Now, this quote was in reference to Meghan stating during the Oprah interview that there were concerns and conversations about how dark Archie's skin tone would be. First of all, that conversation wasn't had by the family, Mr. John Barnes. That conversation was had with Harry only. Meghan was not a part of those conversations. All right, brother? Then he says, and I quote, "People will always wonder what the baby will look like and if it is going to be dark." Huh. A lot to dissect in that statement. Yes, people will wonder what the baby will look like. Absolutely. Of course. But the second part of that statement, hmm. The second part of that statement should cause you pause. People will wonder what the baby will look like and if it is going to be dark. Really? Wonder if the baby is going to be dark? Now, that statement would be okay if he had said, "and wonder if the baby is going to be dark, light, a caramel complexion, somewhere in between." Okay? I mean, that might be a more appropriate context, when interracial couples are getting ready to have a baby, or even black couples, about their unborn child. But no, this dude only focused on how dark the baby might be. So that tells me whomever is doing all of this wondering is either prejudiced, racist, or a self hating black person who does not want to have a dark baby. Okay? Now that's colorism. There is colorism, as I'm sure you guys are all aware of, in the African American community, in the black community, in Hispanic communities, even in South Asian communities. Now, this extra idiot goes on to say, if you listen to what Meghan says, it's not about them worrying if the baby is dark or not. It's them worrying about how the public are going to view that. Let's hear. Okay, watching that video just gets me all riled up again. Woo! Jesus! First of all, Meghan said that there were concerns and conversations about how dark Archie's skin tone would be. Meghan didn't say anything about the British public. She was strictly talking about a royal family member. She said that there were several conversations with this royal family member and Harry. And those conversations were about how dark Archie's skin tone might be and what would that mean and what would that potentially look like. Okay? Concerns. This family member was concerned. Okay? If they were so concerned about how the British people were going to react to that, then I'm pretty sure Harry and Meghan would have said that. But no, this family member was concerned because they did not want, and hear me clearly, they did not want the royal family to showcase a dark royal baby with a title on that balcony because they knew that it would disrupt the face of white supremacy. I said it and I'll say it again. Okay? Now, yeah, they were worried. I do believe that they were worried about how the British public would view that. Would they accept a dark baby as a part of the royal family? But they weren't concerned about the baby. They were concerned about their legacy. They were concerned about the monarchy. Okay? That's what they were concerned about. They were concerned about that British tax-paying money. They were concerned that if Archie was too dark, that would be the end of the monarchy. That's what they were concerned about. Now, this extra idiot goes on to say, and he's basically going to back me up on this, because they know if the baby is too dark, the public will not view the baby as positively. They are being realistic. Let's not pretend the public won't care whether it's a blonde haired, blue eyed baby or a jet black, because they will. Okay. So basically, John Barnes is saying is that the royal family is not racist. They're just being realistic and having concerns about how dark Archie's skin tone would be because they knew the British public would not accept a dark-skinned royal baby with a title. I agree with half that statement. Okay. But the royal family is racist. Okay. However, what cracks me up about that statement, it's like, oh, okay. So the royal family believes their subjects are a bunch of racists too. Got it, Johnny. hmm. You know, John Boy, he did not understand the assignment. He basically threw his countrymen underneath the bus to defend the royal family. What a good little servant subject John Barnes is. I hope that they gave him a really good bonus. Okay? Two things here to remember. They are always going to change Meghan's verbiage and context. She said concerns, not wandering, realistic, realism, curious. No, she didn't use those words. She said concerns. Usually, when expected parents talk about what their child will possibly look like with the family, it's a conversation of excitement. It's a conversation of joy. It's a conversation of love. You talk to both parents about it as a family. All right? It's not a conversation of concerns and somebody being shot. Okay? So, of course, John Barnes, he doesn't like the successes. Of course he doesn't. And he says, and I quote, I am not a big fan of theirs. A lot of black people I know aren't. The problem is that if you don't like her, people will call you a racist when it's got nothing to do with that. That's why it's important to separate the idea of racism and her character as a human being. End quote. Now, see, he done really fucked up when he made it personal because now you know he is coming from a biased point of view. He doesn't know Meghan. He has never met Meghan in his entire fucking life. Excuse me. But he fucking pissed me off with that bullshit ass statement. Saying a lot of black people he knows aren't fans. So fucking what? Judging from all of the non supportive statements he has said about black football players, I'm pretty sure in his black circle, it's very small. Okay? I'm pretty sure his black circle of friends is very small. He probably got like 1.5 black friends. Okay? And this is one of the reasons why I said that. This is a very recent, like yesterday quote that he said, that he actually said, this black man, all right, this black man, this brother actually said about black football players. Beginning quote, when I played, you had to be better than the average to get signed. Now we have lots of ordinary black players earning extraordinary money. That's why football is probably the least racist industry. Not in terms of the abuse you get on Twitter, but the fact that so many black players can be worse than white players and earn more money. In what other industry does that happen? But where are the black managers? End quote. That's all this black man cares about is fucking black people being managers in football. That's all he cares about. Why? Because he's a black manager in football. He only cares about himself. Okay? He don't give a fuck about the black players in the league. He's pissed off that they're making money. He's pissed off that they're making more money than he did as a black football player back in his quote unquote heyday. Sorry, motherfucker. I can't stand this black man. I really honestly can't. Shit. I'm going off here. But seriously, do you think this black man has a lot of black people in his circle saying some bullshit, self hating comment like that? He's a hater. He wants to be the only great black British football player, the only black manager in football that's making all of the money. He's not supportive of these black British football players, not some of the statements that I've read that he has said. Okay? Now, look, I'm going to keep it real within my own black friend circle. Honestly, the majority of my black friends really don't care about Harry and Meghan. They really don't. And I do not mean that in a negative way. They just don't follow them like that. All right? When news comes out about them, they may pay attention to it and they may not pay attention to it. But when they pay attention to it, overall, they have positive views about Harry and Meghan. Now, the ones that are into Harry and Meghan, the way I am, they are very supportive. As in, they just want Harry and Meghan and their kids to be good. They have respect for them and regarding wanting them to live their lives on their own terms. Okay? I don't know if I said that right. But the black friends that I have, okay, that do follow Harry and Meghan the same way I do, they have respect for them regarding them wanting to live their lives on their own terms. And they do feel the way that I do that the British press coverage is racist and it's very sexist. And I had a black friend the other day telling me that they just now realized the anti-Americanism in the British press coverage as well. Now, I do have a friend that is African American that was a fan of Meghan's before Meghan married Harry. And she still likes Meghan. Don't get me wrong. But when me and her have conversations about Meghan, she does bring up quite frequently, I may say, she questions, well, what did Meghan expect marrying into a racist monarchy? Okay. I'm trying to get my friend on this podcast so we can have a conversation about that. But her black ass won't come. She won't do it. Now, John Barnes, he goes on to talk about how much he and his family loved Princess Diana, which is cool. We all love Princess Diana. But then he extends his buffoonery, talking about how much he likes Wills and Kate. Then his buffoonery goes into extra clown ass clown drive when he says this, and I quote, personally, I am not for or against the royal family. They stole what they stole in the last 1,000 years or whatever, but we are here where we are today. I like them, and I think they are good for the country. I think they are decent people who do a lot of charity. Huh. First of all, this dude is not fooling nobody. He is a black monarchist. He is. He's a black monarchist. He needs to go ahead and wear that on his sleeve. He is complacent with colonization, and he could care less that the royal family raped and stole all of the blood diamonds from Africa or everything else that they stole. Okay? He could care less. His attitude is who cares? Now, what makes this dude a hypocritical ass is the fact that he complains about systematic racism and even stated that being black damaged his career as a manager in football. Oh, really? You being black damaged your career as a manager in football? Maybe it wasn't because you're black. Maybe it's your character that damaged your career as a manager in football. He has no problems discrediting another black person's or a person of color experiences with racism. He has no problems telling black football players that they shouldn't take a knee during football games protesting racial injustice. He has no problems with football referees calling black football players the N-word. Oh, but when racism happens to him, it's real. I will never understand why a black person would discredit another black person's experience with racism, then have the nerve to complain about systematic racism while defending a racist institution just because they do good work. Negro, please. I saw something on Twitter that someone posted that I thought was on point, and I have to share it, and I hope this person doesn't mind. Becca R. She is a super squatty, and she posted this about John Barnes. Beginning quote, being the it's not racist to me type of black person to invalidate a woman of color's experience in order to ingratiate yourself to white people only works while you're useful. There's always an expiration date on that usefulness. I'm going to say that one more time. Becca R. Twitter post. She is a super squatty. She is a part of the sexist squad. This is what she posted, and I quote, being the it's not racist to me type of black person to invalidate a woman of color's experience in order to ingratiate yourself to white people only works while you're useful. There is always an expiration date on that usefulness. End quote. Man, She was on point with that. She was on point with that. Beware, John Barnes. Beware, Candace Owens. You two to need to take notes on that. Absolutely. I question why did the Sunday Times even ask Willie Lynch? Oops, I'm sorry. I mean John Barnes about Harry and Meghan. From my understanding, they are not in his book. He didn't write about them in his book. The Guardian interviewed him as well, and there is no mention of Harry and Meghan in that interview. Why? Probably because the Sunday Times and John Barnes was summoned by the royal family to do so to distract from the news coming out that the Metropolitan Police will not take any further action against Prince Andrew following a review prompted by accuser Virginia Giuffre's sexual abuse lawsuit. Metropolitan Police said that, hey, we've done our investigation / review and we don't see nothing here and we're closing our case. So many of us that are in the Sexo Squad, and basically all across the world, believe that the John Barnes interview was a distraction because the royal family and the Metropolitan Police knew that the news was coming out, that they were closing their case, that they were no longer going to investigate the sexual abuse allegations in regards to Prince Andrew. Okay, apparently he sexually abused Miss Virginia Giuffre in London. But the London Metropolitan Police said, hey, we've done our investigation and we're closing our case. Mind you, an investigation that they supposedly did, a thorough investigation that they supposedly did. However, they did not interview the victim. Now, ain't that some bullshit, right? How you do an investigation and not interview the victim? That makes no sense to me. All right. But I mean, come on. Are we really surprised by this news? Remember, a former Royal Protection Officer revealed that the Scotland Yard destroyed records 2 years ago. And those records stated that Prince Andrew was with Giuffre in London on the night he claimed that he was at the Pizza Express with one of his daughters. I don't know which one, but one of them. Okay. That's okay. I mean, that's okay. That's okay. Because the British taxpayer, it's not over. No, it's not over for you. Because your queen, yeah, that's right. Your queen is privately paying for Prince Andrew's lawyer fees regarding the sex abuse lawsuit in the United States. All right? And if she's privately funding or, paying for his lawyer fees, we all know that the majority of that is British taxpayer money. Who do they think they fooling? They really think that their subjects are dummies. I mean, some of them are. But I mean, seriously, privately funding. That is taxpayer money. And it's going to run into the millions. The millions. But people like John Barnes, they're fine with that. They're okay with that. Interesting though, because the royal family, hey, they didn't have no money for Meghan. They didn't have no money for Meghan. Zilch. None. He said it. Prince Harry said it in the beginning before he and Meghan were even married. His family made it clear that there was no money for Meghan. They were not going to pay for her security. They were not going to pay for her. Okay? They wanted her to continue working as an actress to support herself. Oh, but when it comes to the alleged PDO son, they got all kinds of money, right? I mean, money's falling out the trees, it's falling out the sky. I mean, they have access to millions on top of millions on top of millions to pay for Prince Andrew's attorney fees in a sexual abuse lawsuit. Prince Andrew, okay, somebody who's knocking on the door at 70. This is a past grown ass man who's got grown ass children that have their own children. But they're going to go ahead and pay his attorney fees in a sexual abuse lawsuit. Woo! That just gets me riled up. All of them stories in the British tabloid press saying Meghan was spending millions on her wardrobe when the real story was that she was paying for her own damn clothes. Man, I tell you, the best decision Harry and Meghan did was leave that cesspool and move to America. I mean, that was the best decision that they made. All right. All right. We have come to an end to this podcast. I'm going to go ahead and leave you with a famous Prince Harry quote. Yes, a famous Prince Harry quote. Here we go. Real men treat women with dignity and give them the respect they deserve. I will say it one more time. Real men treat women with dignity and give them the respect they deserve. I am Special K Thoughts, and I will see you very soon. Bye.